Welcome back to The Rewind. It is your host, Spencer Tracy. It is great to be back for episode 25. Man, we're recording way to the century mark. It's pretty cool to feel, but still got a lot more awesome episodes to come out. Today got an awesome guest in Michael Daley. This will be a fun one. He was He was the first guest I had on for episode 2 of The Rewind. Those who the OGs of The Rewind show know. We talk it all, man. We talk college football. We bring back college football. We haven't talked about that since the revive. We break down some more NFL from this past weekend. Teams we like, performances we're keeping an eye on, different trends. Bring back some fun segments, and we talk some recent news in sports as well. Overall fun conversation. Hope you all enjoy. Be sure to follow us on socials at @therewind_pod on Instagram. Keep you updated with all the episodes that come out, all the content that comes out, clips in these episodes. Make sure to interact with them too. It really helps the page. And then make sure to follow us on YouTube at @TheRewind3 for the video edition too, which is a new aspect of the pod. So enjoy. All right, welcome back to The Rewind. Michael Daley is here. Michael, we haven't had you since episode 2 of The Rewind.
Whoa!
Back in the
throwback.
In the third studio of The Rewind, there was the podcasting social media studio at the Xavier campus that I tried out for a couple episodes.
Yes.
Then I went to the dorm, and now it is at the second floor of my grandparents' house in the hills of Palo Alto, something I did not have on my bingo card.
No kidding.
Michael, it's good to have you, though.
Yeah, good to be back. History can let you show that my history on the Rewind Pod is pretty darn good. Last time we did NFL Power Rankings, and my top team in the AFC beat the top team in the NFC in the Super Bowl.
Boom.
So I got a pretty good reputation here, I think.
Okay, good. Attaboy. Yeah. Hey, you gotta float your boat a little bit too. And I believe you won some money on the NL Rookie of the Year this year, right?
I absolutely did. Drake Baldwin, lock. Well, my biggest regret is not hitting it at plus 2,000 at the beginning of the year. Was able to get it in May for plus 400. Won a quick $400 on that. So that was a nice little win.
Win's a win. Yeah, I won no money on that. I won last year. I won on Paul Skeens. Remember, there was it was the Paul Skeens versus Jackson Merrill debate, and Merrill had like a crazy weekend. He became the quick favorite. I jumped on that in August. Major payout. I remember being in Alter at Xavier, which is one of the study halls, studying for some exam, and like taking like a 30-minute break waiting for them to announce that.
Yeah.
That's always a good moment to win a bet. That doesn't happen too much in my life. So it feels
all
good.
right. It's all right. Well,
good,
you're not in a sports betting state anymore, so maybe it would happen.
That's
more
right.
if you,
That's right. Thanks. Yeah, I'm a little upset about Gavin for that, but maybe it's for the best. Maybe it's for the best. All right, well, let's get into. We are recording on a Monday morning, almost an afternoon for you out there in Cincinnati. So we will. This will come out after Monday Night Football. It's come out tomorrow morning, Tuesday morning. So we have no knowledge on the Niners beating the crap out of the Panthers, except for Tet Millen going off. I'm gonna need that and some fantasies. Fantasy leagues.
Bryce Young has everything to gain tonight. They take the division lead. He announces himself like, okay, hey, listen, Carolina, we can be a playoff team, and I'm the guy for this franchise tonight. But he also has everything to lose if tonight goes poorly and they don't, take this opportunity and jump the Buccaneers.
This defense is not good. This is not a good defense he's going against. This is not a good defense. Jacoby Brissett just had 47 completions, and Michael Wilson just caught like 140 yards against our number one corner, Deommodore Lenoir. So these doors open.
Absolutely.
Doors open.
Absolutely.
Doors open.
Should be a fun
one.
All
right, let's go to the best thing we saw this weekend. Go ahead.
Best thing I saw this weekend, something that's close to home for me. Brett Bielema and the Illinois Fighting Illini going into Madison. Brett being the former coach of Wisconsin and left for an SEC team a little over a decade ago now. And for the second home game in a row, Wisconsin beating a ranked team. And that's just something that we haven't seen in the last 4 years. That was our most recent ranked win, was 2021 before these past couple weeks. And being able to do it against Washington and then a rival in Illinois against our old coach, seeing everyone rushing the field again. I feel like this program is on the up and up. I feel like Fickle has finally turned it around. Covered in 4 straight games. That's a stat for you. So
love it.
Yeah, just I think seeing my city, seeing my people excited again. And the program looking forward.
Yeah, definitely was one of the coaches that was on the hot seat.
Mm-hmm.
It might have been so hot he was standing. He just hadn't been asked to leave yet. But yeah, that program was really going. I mean, you went to that Bama game, right?
I went to Bama and Oregon, and neither were too competitive.
No,
Oregon
no.
was
But
okay.
now,
Oregon,
with this current stretch, you're optimistic that this is Fickle figuring out versus just kind of like the guys are hot or
yeah.
something's
I mean, I
working or
think I think this was, the AD gave Fickle a vote of confidence a few weeks ago before the Washington game during our bye week, and it's paid off. I mean, I think the way the energy the guys have played with, the way this defense has been playing, it feels like we're back to Wisconsin football.
okay. Running the
Hmm
ball, getting in the backfield with three NFL guys in there, good
Yeah,
offensive
right.
line, average white quarterback there, just
Not average, far below average quarterback play. Probably the worst of the country. Well, our win against Washington, I don't know if you saw, but our punter was our leading passer.
love it. I love it. That's
Yes,
Wisconsin football right there.
that is Wisconsin football. Yes. So hopefully someone can spring up next year. But if we can win next week against Minnesota, sure we're 5-7. This was a successful season, and we deserve to be happy going into the offseason.
Step in the right direction. Speaking of successful seasons, I'm going to go over to the West Coast.
Mm-hmm.
Cal Stanford, the big game.
Mm-hmm.
Being, uncle is a Cal alumni. I've got two grandparents who are Stanford alumni, so I kind of had my choosing on what I wanted to do. Being closer to Palo Alto, I went to Stanford games more frequently. So I'm a Stanford fan. I call myself a Stanford fan. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't see it as like a Red Sox Yankees rivalry, It's like yeah, I want to watch Cal, see what they're up to. But I'm
Yeah.
rooting for
Yeah.
Stanford. First time they took the big game in 4 years. And
Mm-hmm.
it's the first time they've done it under the Luck era because it's his first year. But what I saw, I flipped on the game, and Stanford was not looking good. It was, man, 7-0, like 3-0 in like the start of the second quarter. Andrew Luck being the awesome guy he is, they obviously want to talk to him about the team, the new coaching, right? Because Frank Reich's out of there. And mid play, they do a handoff reverse. Cal does a handoff at like the 50-yard line, and their speedster De Jesus comes flying around the corner, and Luck's like, hold on, mid interview, turns completely around because they're at like Cal's 10-yard line, completely around, looks at the play. De Jesus tries to make a cutback, trips. I've watched it a few times. I don't see anyone ripping the ball out. I think he just flat out dropped it, and our guy Jalen Green, the safety, comes in, scoops it, and the interview just is like it's such a football player on the sideline.
Yeah.
He's like, ball out, ball out. Green picks up, runs out, just runs right by him. Like they could have high fived, and then he runs in the end zone. One of two Stanford defensive touchdowns, but that was awesome. That was super funny. Yeah, Stanford
Yeah.
won that game 31 something.
Yeah. Blowout victory, and I think you could kind of feel it. You and I had the luxury of going to a Cal and a Stanford game back to back nights earlier this season, and the energy around the Stanford football stadium and the Stanford fans just felt bigger and brighter than
Yeah.
Cal. And I
Yeah.
think that's what came out in this game is you have, two programs who have very different mindsets, very different relationships with their coaches, obviously. Or I guess we'd say like maybe their leaders, like as in Luck. And I think you saw Stanford prevail because of the way that program has built over the past year.
Yeah, there's so many clips. Like after the interview, he like kind of cut the interview. He was like, "All right, thanks," and like she was like, "Okay, I guess that's it." And then he went and he high fived every single person on that defense when they came, just like full of joy, running back onto the sideline. So yeah, he knows how to run a locker room, how to be a leader. Obviously, a number one overall pick, a good player. Unfortunately, got cut short with all of his
Hmm
injuries, but you could tell guy just loves football.
hmm
Guy just loves football, man. I mean, he's like us in intramural, just like hitting high fives. Good job. Good. Way to get a stop. 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 Just a reminder. How many championships did we win? By the way, just a reminder.
Oh, well, we won the one in flag football together.
Yeah.
And then you were part of three softball teams that won? Two co-ed, one men's?
Yeah. Yeah. Three. Yeah. Yeah. I was
Okay.
thinking two with yeah. 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 So
Okay.
okay. So four.
Yeah,
And
fair
you're in the double digits.
I'm in double digits.
Yeah. I don't.
But it's all right. Not everyone can get there.
Would have been appropriate to just hang up all the shirts behind you. By the way, I think that would have been fair game.
I thought about that when I first got my first
Okay.
one. I was like, I should hang this up. I'm like,
Okay.
that's so corny.
Just like, hold on, I gotta tie my shoes and just like angle everything down. You can
Yeah,
see
right.
everything. Yeah. All right. Well, staying in this rivalry, Cal fired their head coach after 9 seasons. He went 40-55 with the program.
Mm-hmm.
He had some notable. I think he was after Goff. I think Sonny Dykes had Goff. Yeah, just kind of a lateral guy. Like he had some good teams, right? He had Mendoza last year. He's had some good players, but he's never
Mm-hmm.
really put it together. He has been bowl eligible the last 3 years, but just clearly Rivera just needs something different because it hasn't really worked. Under 500 in 9 seasons. My big question is, we see this a lot in sport, in any sport really, is that when a season isn't going how you expect it and the expectation isn't hit, you see management fire their coaches mid-season or towards the end of the
Mm-hmm.
season. We saw the Giants do this with Gabe Kapler, and sometimes they wait for the very end of the season. Like where do you like that? If you know you're going to make a coaching decision by the end of the year at some point, when do you prefer teams make that decision?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think for me, if you know a guy is not your guy, like you are so like negative on him, as soon as you feel that way, you should let him go. I think it doesn't really matter where you are in the season. However, if it's someone like this, where you've had him around for 9 seasons, someone who's established relationships in the program, I would want to make sure you got options out there. And maybe internally they've had discussions about some of their options out there, and they know the couple guys that they're going to bring in an interview, to be the next head coach. But unless you have someone lined up, I don't really like it until the end of the season. If it's someone who's been there a long time and building relationships.
Yeah, I think it depends on the situation. In this, like, if like in an Urban Meyer situation, probably right to fire him like that, right? Like just you went with him, didn't work out, just get him out of there, whatever. I typically prefer like in a situation where a guy's been there for 9 years, like just let him ride out the year.
Hmm.
Because like I know the players interact with all the coaches, right? If you're an offensive guy, you're gonna act with the head coach, offensive coordinator, maybe like the offensive line coach if you're a lineman. So there's other people to play for. But man, if you got like a new coach, and sometimes that's like a good thing. But I don't know. If I was a player, like you kind of are just like, all right, now this is the guy who kind of brought me in with the
Hmm.
transfer portal. I mean, I'm gonna assume over like 3/4 of that team is gonna be gone now. Like you just like they're gone.
Hmm.
Which is probably gonna happen if you fire him at the end of the year, anyways. But I would prefer him to finish out the year. The only thing I would understand is maybe if you were like, I want to make an internal hire, you could
Yes.
throw in an interim head coach and be like, I want to see, hey, this is like your job interview. Let's see how you do. Let's see how
Yeah.
you rally the guys, which I think could be dangerous, right? I think the Raiders did that, right? Yeah, with Pierce,
And
and he kind
yes,
of went on a little bit of a run. They're like, oh, okay, we'll make you the head coach, and then
correct.
next year it was a disaster, and they just fired him. So it
Correct.
really depends on what you look at. So
Hmm.
overall, I would lean just let him finish out the year.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think it makes you question, is Sagapulotele going to stay? You know?
Probably not. Man, that guy's gonna get calls from so many people, man. He's just come across the bay, man. Emmett Brown is not the guy. I'm telling you, it's Elijah Brown. Elijah Brown. Poor
So
Elijah.
we'll see if he stays in the Bay or not. My guess is he goes somewhere in the Big Ten or SEC. I think he's going to
Yeah,
get some big paychecks.
yeah. He's a good player. He can. I
Hmm.
mean, he didn't really flash anything special. I couldn't have told you he was a 5-star when we went and saw him
Right,
against
right.
UNC. But hey, you know what? Caleb looked like a 2-star when we saw him at Notre Dame. So who knows? They just get
Yeah,
nervous. They get nervous
yes.
around us.
Maybe clearly not indicative of their NFL talent. One game sample size we go to.
Yeah. And then in baseball news, I'll get through this. This was a breaking news the other day. It kind of came out of left field. Marcus Semien was traded from the Texas Rangers to the New York Mets for outfielder Brandon Nimmo. Our guy Michael Caseman, who is a diehard Met fan,
Mets expert, I'd say.
Mets expert, he hated this. He absolutely hated this. And very much like the Grayson trade that I broke down with him, or I broke down with Marty last episode. It depends on how you look at it. Like the Mets were one of the worst defensive teams in the league last year, and the Rangers really struggled offensively. So getting off the Simeon contract for the Rangers, right? You get off the Simeon contract because you already got Seager. Seager's nailed down for a big deal here. And then you've got some young guys that you probably want to play. You got DeGrom nailed down for some money. I know Pavetta's getting paid pretty well too. So you kind of get off that contract because that's another 3 years, 72 million. And then Nimmo also just got a big pay. 5 years, 102 million left. But I think if you're the Mets, you're really valuing the defense up the middle, right? Because you got Lindor is one of the best defensive shortstops. You pair that with Simeon. Simeon's WAR is above 3, even though his OPS is sub 700, which is below average. Um, and he's been kind of beat up. He's 35 years old, so who knows how much he has left in the tank. That's kind of been his thing. Is a pretty steady offensive bat, great defender, and he'll play 162 games. He played the least amount of games he's played since 2022, which isn't a great sign when you're aging and your stats are slowly declining. But I think they're really banking on this middle infield defense thing, and then you kind of get off the books of Brandon Nimmo. Plus, it opens up an outfield spot for someone like Kyle Tucker, but he's probably going to want over 300. Already paying Juan Soto 700. So that's a lot of money to two players on your team. But hey, that's the Mets. They do what they do. And then the Rangers really their big thing was they struggled offensively. Like the pitching was pretty good over there. They kind of made a run last minute, but their offense was so bad. They had so many underperforming players. Nimmo gives you that 25 homer guy. You lose the defense a bit, and at 32, I don't expect that to get any better. So I think it's just Mets wanted some defense and get off a contract, and the Rangers wanted some offense, and they just made a clean swap. So it's just what two teams wanted. However you look at that, we'll see how it pans out. Interesting though, another just straight up swap. That doesn't really happen. In the NBA, there's always like 4 pick swaps, second round picks thrown in there, some kind of crap. Baseball is some kind of prospect. The NFL is probably a 7th round pick that no one really remembers.
Yep.
So interesting that they're just getting some pick swaps.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right,
I mean,
my
I
baseball
think
guy
you
there.
just, yeah, right. No, I think just in general, it shows you like you said, they have a need and feel like, okay, hey, listen, rather than trying to trade him for some guys who, might be good in a few years to improve our defense and bring another guy in free agency, it's two teams who are doing a good job of recognizing their weaknesses, like you said, and making a solution.
Yep, just clean swap. Boom. I need something. You need something. All right, let's go to college football. Big week, big week in college football.
Mm-hmm.
Some pretty good games.
Mm-hmm.
Some pretty good games. You wanted to do the college football playoff breakdown, correct?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. All right. I'll let you lead this because I haven't looked at it.
Okay, lovely. So we saw none of the top 12 teams falter this week, I believe. Utah might have dropped a little bit in the AP pool
That
because
was
they had a
weird.
close victory, comeback victory over Kansas State. Looking at this right now, I'll just give you a rundown of 1 through 12 of last week. We'll wait for tomorrow to come out. But Ohio State, Indiana, A&M, Georgia, Tech, Ole Miss, Oregon, Oklahoma, Notre Dame, Alabama, BYU, and Utah as the top 12 right now. And then I believe the highest ranked um, team was Tulane. Let me check how they did this weekend. Because, that group of 5 spot, that can be up to a lot of different teams right now. Tulane had a good 24-point win over Temple, so they'll probably stay in that spot. I know North Texas and James Madison both believe that they should be deserving of that
Yeah.
5th spot. And I kind of lean towards North Texas there, but clearly the committee believes it's Tulane. Yeah, I think that right now we're seeing kind of the opposite of what a lot of people expected this season. I think a lot of people thought there'd be a lot of more chaos and not as many 1 or 2 loss teams in the 2 big conferences. Right, we got 6 of those, including 3 undefeateds. This is not where we were last season.
No.
Right, we had a lot more 2 loss teams kind of sitting in the mix. And now it feels like a second loss is going to cost a lot of these teams. It's definitely aiming for a lot of interesting matchups. And, the ACC is definitely a difficult position. I don't know who's in line to play in that conference championship game right now after the Georgia Tech loss, but I believe it looks like it's Virginia versus Pittsburgh at the moment,
Wow,
and
that's a
SMU in there as well. So that means one of those three teams is probably going to get a bid.
no, that's nuts.
And
I
my
guarantee you Notre Dame's going to be lined up to play that winner after they move on to the first round.
Well, maybe, and but look, right now it looks like Notre Dame's lining up for a visit to the Norman, Oklahoma.
Mm,
So that will be an
that's
interesting
a very
matchup.
winnable game.
Yeah, I think so too.
Oklahoma's an odd team, huh?
Yes, I think it depends on Mateer's health. How's his hand?
Yeah, that's really been a big factor in these games, right? Because they kind of forced him back in what was it, the Red River game, and he threw like 3 picks.
Yes,
Yeah,
but
so
they did just crush Missouri this week.
yeah, 17-6.
Yes, I
Yeah,
mean you
that was
hold
a big
this.
game.
I don't know if he still is, but I know the running back was the leading rusher in FCS at one point, Missouri's. And the fact that you're able to hold that team to 6 points and zero in the second half, I think shows the type of defense you are. But how much does that matter against, a Notre Dame? How much does that matter against an Oregon? You got to be able to put up points and compete with those teams.
Yeah, is there anything you see, any seating you would change here?
Good question. I'm kind of the opinion that I think Texas Tech, uh, should be above Georgia. I know Georgia only lost to Alabama. And I do think you will see Texas Tech leap Georgia if they win their conference championship game. Other seeding issues I have would be I think Vanderbilt's a little too high, but now with kind of the teams around them, USC and Georgia Tech losing, maybe Vanderbilt deserves to be staying up there. I just feel like is two loss Vanderbilt that much better than two loss Michigan? I don't think so. I think the story of this is going to be what's going to happen to BYU. I think that's the story to watch right now. BYU is going to be 11-1 probably going into their conference championship game with one loss against Texas Tech. If they lose to Texas Tech again in the conference championship, what happens to them? I don't know what your take is on losing in conference championship games, and what do you think that means about BYU?
Yeah, I know that's one of the big debates, right? Because it is a game. It's hard because you're kind of rewarded. That game was kind of reward.
Hmm.
So if you're because if we're gonna start penalizing teams and a team's like on the brink and they would rather just stay put, like, can you cancel? Can you like? Is it like a bowl invite?
Yeah,
Can you just be like, nah, just give it to like Arizona State or something? Just I don't want to. I just want to play. If we're gonna, I don't know if we're gonna beat Ohio State,
right,
so I don't
right.
want to. I don't want
Is
to
it?
play. That's
Is it?
what it might come down to, and you can't blame someone because that's that's a big deal making the college football playoff. Like that could be whether someone keeps their job or not based on some of these coaching these head coaches who have a high expectation each year, right?
Hmm.
Kalen DeBoer is a great example. Like every time he loses like 2 games in the first 4 weeks, which seems like he does like every year, or he loses a big game to start the season, he's like on the hot seat. He's on the hot seat, and then he goes on a crazy run, beats some good teams. But my answer, yeah, you can't penalize. I mean, it feels wrong to not penalize someone for a loss like that, but I don't know. Maybe if you wanted to adjust the like if let's say Ole Miss and Georgia played in the SEC and Georgia beat the or Ole Miss beat the crap out of Georgia. Georgia looked just terrible. Maybe when you give Ole Miss that bye, Georgia instead of getting the what would it be the fifth seed, right? Because there's
Yeah,
4 buys. Instead of getting the
yeah.
fifth seed, you give them the sixth or seventh because Texas Tech played like a really close conference championship game. Maybe you do something like that, but
I
you can't
think
reward. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say like I think Georgia and Ole Miss might be in the most enviable spots right now, and I guess you could throw in Oregon too. These are teams. You look at Ohio State last year; they didn't play in the conference championship game and ended up winning the national title. There's so many things that can happen as far as injury risk, and these teams: Ole Miss, Georgia, Oregon. All three of these. Let's say Texas Tech wins the Big 12 title and they leapfrog Georgia into that fourth spot. All three of those teams are going to be hosting first round games without having played a conference championship game. I think that's an advantage, and I think that's part of the flaw with the current setup we have. I'm not necessarily sure what the solution is, but it's gonna be tough to see, a two-loss BYU team losing to Texas Tech. They're gonna be behind. Let's say Alabama loses the conference championship, right? So a three-loss Alabama, a two-loss Notre Dame, a two-loss Oklahoma, and that feels harsh because the way it is right now, BYU and Utah at 11 and 12 are gonna get left out for Virginia and Tulane, the next two highest conference champions.
Yeah. What is your take um on teams that receive a bye? Baseball has this big problem. People are like, "Oh, byes are like the worst because it's all about who gets hot at the right time." We saw Oregon throw up an absolute dud last year.
Hmm. Hmm.
Like, is that a position you want to be at, or would you rather face a go stay at home and play someone that you're pretty comfortably favored against?
Yeah, in a sport like football, I lean towards the bias is, important. I think you see that in the NFL. I think last year was a bit of a fluke with, college football. It's the first time we had that system. In comparison to, you know, the NFL where the teams with the bye are typically the teams making the Super Bowl, right? I think there's so many injuries. There's so many, like, you get so beat up by the end of a season that having that extra week off is actually helpful in football.
Yeah, I agree. I think that probably reflects on a bit of coaching too. Like, you got to get your guys ready to play. Got to get your guys ready to
Hmm.
play. How can you benefit off the bye, off the week off, the extra days of prep, and use that to your advantage? So that'll be big. What's your championship circle?
Good question. I'll start with the three undefeated teams. All right, Ohio State, Indiana, A&M. They belong in the circle. I don't think Georgia has the team this season. I don't think Ole Miss has the team this season, especially with all the Kiffin drama going on. I don't think Oregon or Oklahoma have the teams. So really, that leaves me with, you're gonna hate this, but Notre Dame, I believe, belongs in the championship circle because of they had two close losses against the number three team in the country at home, and they went to Miami and lost. The way they've been playing, they just beat Syracuse 70-0. The way they've been playing, they 100% belong in that championship circle. And that brings up another point of the college football playoff. How much do we reward teams for current form? How much do we reward teams for getting hot at the end of the season? Um, and scheduling these tough games. So I think that's my championship circle, and I'm also going to throw in Alabama. So I think that's kind of my five teams that I would look at to win the title this season. I think Ty Simpson is probably the best quarterback I've seen play in college football this season, and I think he's got a real chance to lead this team into some pretty solid situations in the playoffs.
Okay, so all mentions of teams currently in the top 10, understandably. Three
Yes,
undefeated teams,
and two.
kind of, and then
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I don't mean to
just no
sound like
flash, just no flash.
no
That's what
flash.
it feels like.
I don't mean to sound like that guy, but there's a difference of when you play Big Ten and SEC football. That is a real thing. And I I guess someone would be like, oh, well, Notre Dame's not in those, but Notre Dame's pretty battle tested, and they've been red hot. And I just think that, I admittedly haven't watched that many Texas Tech games. I've only watched probably two, but from what I've watched, I see that this is a good team. This is a team that can strike really quickly, but can you compete physically with the best teams? Can you compete with these incredibly battle tested squads? And to me, I think the answer is no.
Makes sense.
What's your circle?
You got to include the three teams. I think Oregon's legit. I really like Oregon. I mean, I just look at I think you gotta have some flash. Like
Hmm.
what's your case? Like if someone was like, okay, Oregon wins the title, you know, if Oregon were to win the title, like what would it be? And I think that was the problem with me in Texas Tech. Like, I will admit I haven't watched a ton of Texas Tech football, but I didn't expect them to fall this high
Hmm.
or rise this high in the rankings, right? But like, there's no, from the clips I've seen and some of the games, some of the quarters I've seen, there's no sexiness to them. Like
Hmm.
they've got Freeman, who's got that blood, that he's got that energy. He always has that defense ready. Alabama, I love Ty Simpson. Ty Simpson
Hmm.
is, man, he's special. He's got the wide receiver threats, and honestly, Ryan Williams isn't even going nuts, right? Like I don't think he's going nuts like he was his freshman year.
I
Oregon,
think
I
they
know.
they prefer. Oh man, what's his name? Horton. I want to say maybe
Yeah,
or
so it's
Burton or something.
Burton.
Oh
Yeah,
shoot,
yeah, Burton. Yeah,
Burton. Yeah, they
Jermaine
prefer
Burton.
him.
Jermaine Burton's
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
I know their running backs, like Jam Miller's been a little iffy. Like some of their running backs have been inconsistent, but like they still got talent in the backfield. Ty Simpson, when you watch him, you probably feel like he's a more of like a runner, but I
Hmm.
feel like he can whip the football across the field. He's one of those guys who thrives in those intermediate passing games, which I think is some of the toughest to get through as a quarterback. Have you been experienced as a championship quarterback? Again, going back to intramural days.
That's right. Yeah,
So,
you are a championship winning quarterback at a D1 university, and no one can take that away from you.
yeah. Um, I think Ole Miss is fun, but do I see them topping any of these teams that you've mentioned? Probably not. Like I would say Oregon's in there for me. Dan Lanning's just an easy guy to play for, and I think that matters a lot. I don't know. A&M kind of scares me a bit. My circle, three undefeated teams. I'm gonna throw in Oregon, and I really like Bama too.
Hmm. I
I
fully
like
expect
Bama
Bama.
too.
I fully
You
expect
need,
Bama to beat A&M in the SEC championship game.
yeah, yeah.
I mean,
I totally see that.
I think that this is just a situation where, they had the awful game against Oklahoma. I mean, Florida State was just a garbage performance, early on in the season, like you mentioned. But the talent is there, the experience is there, and DeBoer has made a playoff run before. He's won a conference championship game before, and I don't think that should be looked past. But so basically, our circle is I swap in Notre Dame for your Oregon.
Pretty much, yeah,
That's
yeah,
the switch.
yeah.
Yeah.
What's
You want
have you
you want
seen
to
a
talk
ton
about
of?
Flash? You want to talk about Flash? You talk about Jeremiah Love. That's the best running back in the
Oh,
country.
future Brocktober player right there. That's future Brocktober. That is our dynasty league that we are in. My team is Brocktober. My quarterback's Brock Purdy, who's taken up ever since he's been healthy. Makes a difference. Makes a
Yeah.
difference. Yeah. No, he's man. Man, he's great. God,
Yeah.
those highlights are just he just runs away from everyone.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
like a kid at recess when
He came
everyone's
up
been
huge in the
tagged.
playoffs last season. First drive of the Indiana game, maybe it was the second drive, first score of the Indiana game, 98-yard touchdown, put them to bed, gave them momentum the rest of the season. So he's already someone who, talk about running backs often with big game experience. Like that's usually not like a factor, but he's had that, and I think that's something. He's just a big time performer.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a guy. Just give him the
Hmm.
rock. CJ
Hmm.
Carr. He's
Hmm.
he's improved a bit, right?
I think
He's
everyone's loved him. I think they feel
okay.
like he's the best quarterback they've had,
Oh well.
for a long time now. Yeah,
No more Riley Leonard. Just let's just run it with him, and
running
this
it.
is basically a running back that can throw a little bit better than the other running backs.
Yeah, right. That is all he was. That is all
Uh,
he was.
all right. Let's take a quick break, and then we'll get into the NFL. All right, welcome back. We're gonna hit before we get into the NFL. We're gonna do the reruns favorite segment: 6 questions in 60 seconds.
Mm.
Michael, you know the gist.
And Michael
Caseman.
Kingsman had some bad takes in his six and
Oh
six
wow, here
segments.
we
So
go.
yeah,
All right,
yeah.
there we go. We got a
So
guest
I'm just
calling another
hoping
guest.
to,
Good.
yeah,
Okay.
I'm hoping to improve on his,
Okay.
atrocious takes.
Questions change, right? Depends on
Hmm.
the guest.
Hmm. Hmm.
Questions change. Caseman also went for 80 seconds. I believe he went like a minute
I'll
20.
keep it at 60. I'll keep it at 60.
Marty was a bit better. He went a couple seconds over 1 minute.
Hmm.
But yeah, quick answers are encouraged. If you want to add a little detail, you got 10 seconds per question, right? So
Yep.
they are in your favors.
Let's go.
All right, let's rev the engines here. Stop clock is ready. Okay. Name this season's Super Bowl champion.
Oh, terrible answer right now, but I'm gonna go Buffalo Bills.
Wow. Okay.
Yep.
Who is the Heisman winner this year?
Julian Sand. He's gonna get a Big Ten championship win.
Most surprising NFL team this season?
Seattle Seahawks. Just out of nowhere, they've really heated up the race in the West, and I did not see that coming whatsoever. JSN's a baller.
Most disappointing team this season?
The Atlanta Falcons. I was all over them. And Michael Penix had a mediocre year, and the other pass catchers did not step up beside Drake London.
Jonathan Taylor should win MVP.
Yes, absolutely.
Best nickname in sports right now?
I'm all over the Greek Freak, man. I know it's
Yeah.
been around for a decade, but that's my guy, and I just think it keeps getting better and better.
Greek freak. All right, man. You came off 105. That last question, you had like 10 seconds to answer, and it stumped you a bit. It stumped you a bit, but that was good. I think you beat Marty. I think Marty was like 106, so you barely passed Marty. So you currently hold the
Nickname threw me off, man.
The nickname was tough. The nickname was
I
tough. I thought it was going to be
JKS.
close.
I should just go with JKS or Sakapatela or whatever it is.
Sakapatela, that's right. JKS, that's the Cal quarterback whose name is pronounceable but tough. But tough, it's no Joe Smith, Will Smith.
Yeah. Super Bowl champion put me on the spot, and Bills were my preseason pick, so that's kind of what I rocked with. I know they have not looked good, but I mean the way Josh Allen's performed in the playoffs, every single game, has been phenomenal for the last few years. So, and as long as they don't run into Patrick Mahomes, I think they do have a pretty good chance.
Very likely. Even if they do, that team is pretty vulnerable. Pretty vulnerable. But who knows? When 15 takes the field, it's always scary.
Yes.
It's always scary. All right, let's transition to the NFL. As we get closer to the playoffs, these games start to matter a little bit more. We're starting to see some head coach firing, so teams are trending in different directions. Let's start with the weekend games. What caught your eye?
Yeah, I think the primetime game last night is what caught my eye. I mean, I know I just said the Bills won the Super Bowl, but I think everyone's Super Bowl favorite right now should be the Los Angeles Rams. The dominant performance they put in. And, I think everyone's been obsessed with how much they've been using 13 personnel this season. And last night, Tampa Bay typically plays in a heavier set. You're able to bring the base defense out. You put them in 12 personnel all night long. And the Los Angeles Rams were able to do whatever they wanted throughout the entire game.
For those not aware, 13 personnel is the first digit is running backs, how many running backs are on the field, and the second digit is how many tight ends are on the field. And the rest, if you add 5 from the offensive line, 6 from the quarterback, the rest would equal the wide receiver. So a 22 personnel would be 2 running backs, 2 tight ends. 13, 1 running back, 3 tight ends. Yeah, we've seen a lot more tight ends. Just those heavy stats, being able to set up that play action, right? McVay loves his run game, and then mixing that play action allows Stafford to really bring in those linebackers and then allow his wide receivers, especially Devontae Adams, who just lives off those like 20, 15-yard passes downfield.
And 1-yard touchdowns.
And then 1-yard touchdowns, yep. Going back to his Aaron Rodgers days. I don't know if you saw, but in that post-game presser, they asked him what his thoughts were about being like the Super Bowl favorite and being the number 1 team in the NFC right now, the number 1 seed especially. And I thought his answer was great. He was like, "Can you name me who was the number 1 seed last year, 6 weeks before the season ended?"
Yeah, no one cares.
No one cares. No one cares. Love it. Next week, next game, keep going. Anything can happen. The Stafford's back come out as a Jimmy G all over again.
Yeah.
That would be tough for LA fans, however many.
Clearly nothing looks like an issue for Matthew Stafford right now.
No.
Like nothing does. What is it, 27? He didn't throw a pick at the end of that game last night, right? So what is it, 27, 28 touchdowns now without an interception, which I believe is an NFL record. So.
Yeah, is it an NFL record? I wouldn't doubt it.
At least within a single season, because I think he was 2 behind Brady going into last night. So. Yeah. It's just the MVP easy. Without a doubt.
Yeah, no, he's kind of running away with it. It's tough, man. It's tough to do this for a whole season. Like Baker looked really good, man. He sauced up my Niners defense, and he was looking really good. Even when that team had struggled, like against the Texans game, like we saw it early on, that offense was nowhere to be seen. And then when they needed it, when they went right down the field and won that game. But it's tough to hold that standard and play at that level for an entire season. So
absolutely.
For Stafford to do it at his age, it seems like we're seeing that a lot more recently. A lot more guys playing well into their 30s, even if it's like football, baseball, right?
Yeah, I think that's the improvement of science in sports and people understanding how to make your bodies work better. Yeah, you said you wanted to touch on the Texans?
Yes, I did want to touch on the Texans, who beat your Super Bowl team. Last week, Caseman and I were talking about NFL teams, and he said watch out for the Dolphins, which was a total trend move in my opinion. Like that team had been hot for the last. I think they had a bye this week.
Okay,
but I think they've put together 2 wins or something in a row.
What is he talking about?
I don't know. But he was like, watch out for the Dolphins, and I was like, all right. The Texans, man, Texans are good. You want to know how many times this defense has allowed more than 20 points?
Let's see off the top of my head if I can get any. I'm gonna go 2.
Twice.
Okay.
twice. They
Wait,
beat
can
the
I guess? Can
Jaguars, who choked. Yeah, you want to
okay,
guess?
Jags, and I was gonna say, did LA put 20 on them? The Rams?
No, they put up 14.
Wow. Okay.
That was
Who's
week
that
one.
squad?
Not a lot of
Yeah.
film there.
Mm-hmm.
Another NL West rival on the road against Seahawks. Sam Darnold,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay.
27. They won that game. But man, that for an offense that's been so bad, it just can't really click.
Mm-hmm.
It's that was why I was high on them. Like if this offense clicks, whole new team, right?
Mm-hmm.
You've clearly got the defense. I know D'Amico's has made some head scratching decisions in the past, but I do like him as a coach. Easy guy to play for. I love that. I love when a coach is easy to play for. I think you get everything out of your players, which really matters in these games, especially deeper in the season when you get a little tired. Everyone like players always love to say, "I'm not." Everyone gets injured. It's just how bad you're injured, or everyone's hurt. It's just whether or not you're injured. But big win against Buffalo. 23-19, kind of a weird one against the Titans, but you just got to go 1-0 each week. I just think like if I don't know what Stroud's status is, but man, if he comes back, I like some of their young wide receivers. I know people really high Jalen Knoll,
Mm-hmm. And Higgins.
Yeah, Higgins was one of their top picks at Iowa State. Dalton Schultz is a good option. Their run game they can't really figure out, right? Who knows? I think Joe Mixon's done, and then Chubb is not the answer. I'll just
Yeah,
tell you
yeah, no.
that. Woody Marks season?
No, no.
Your boy Woody
I mean,
Marks?
the team has no run game. I think the biggest difference between this season and last season's Texans defense is right now you have a guy who is playing like the second best defensive player in football. Will Anderson Jr. has been phenomenal this season. You know, obviously Miles Garrett's just a freak show, so he's still been balling. What is he at 18 sacks now? Like,
Yeah,
uh,
15 or something. Yeah,
yeah. So I think he added three yesterday, but you know. Will Anderson Jr. has been next level in run defense as well. And I think that's where a lot of people had problems with him previously is, all right, he can get to the passer, but then teams could run at him a little bit. This season, he's just been, an absolute monster, and he's taking that defense to the next step. For me, he's second in the Defensive Player of the Year race. And if he can elevate this team further, just because the media is tired of Miles Garrett, he might end up
yeah,
winning the award.
yeah. Miles Garrett probably gonna break it's T.J. Watt and Strahan, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Michael Strahan. They were 22 and a half. I believe is the
I
record.
believe so.
He's at 15 with 5 weeks to play.
Mm-hmm. No, he's at
Very
18.
possible.
He's at
Oh,
18,
he's at
sir.
18. Okay, he's
Yeah,
at 18.
yeah,
Okay, so he
yeah.
should. It's not a matter of if he's going to break it. It's just can he stay healthy
Yes,
and how much is he
yes.
going to break it by? Are
Yes,
the two main factors.
the last four games have been he had 5 sacks against New England, one against the Jets, four against Baltimore, and three against the Raiders. So
Right. Boom.
that what you do the math there. 13
Yeah,
sacks in 4 games.
it's likely.
Yeah.
Get me FanDuel. Let me throw
Yeah.
Miles
Right.
Garrett to break the sack record right now at like
Yes.
minus 150 or whatever it probably is.
500.
With all due respect to the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Arizona Cardinals, the game of the week, Colts at Arrowhead in Kansas City. Oh no,
Mhm.
that was a great game. I was
was a
going to
good
lean
game.
towards maybe the second best game of the week, but Dallas and Philly, your Cowboys.
Mm. Mm.
I'm gonna give you
That's what I wanted
a
to hear.
time to flame because I flamed the Eagles last week, and I got a little nervous because their pass game was all right, and they got up to a very early lead, but then the Eagles showed their true colors, which was a little bit of an exhale for me. But go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, from a Cowboys perspective, this is kind of showing, what the vision was for this season. And I think the response the Micah Parsons trades was a response to the Eagles winning the Super Bowl and our inability to stop the run, the Eagles' ability to run over everybody in the playoffs last season. Obviously, that run game has not been here this season. We'll start from there. But you look at the way Dallas has played them in both games, run defense. I mean, Saquon's got like 28 carries for like 80 yards, I think it is, across the two games. And they hardly gave him the ball yesterday because every time they did, Quinn Williams, Oso Odigizua, Kenny Clark were all right there to stop him. I mean, this is the vision that's kind of coming to life. It took a while to get there. Last week we returned 5 defensive starters, and that made a huge difference against the Raiders. And now it made a huge difference against Philly. I think Brian Schottenheimer has done a great job of just leading this team. Obviously, suffering the death of a player is a difficult situation to deal with. I think he's handled it really well, and the guys are rallying behind him. And the offense is the offense. George Pickens has been sensational. CeeDee Lamb's got to get his shit together. And it's going to be interesting to see if we're going to be able to keep Pickens, which we better. We better keep him. But
Yeah. What?
Philly, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say what. I didn't expect that. I thought Pickens was gonna have, when he came in when Lamb was out, he was gonna blow up, and then maybe he'd come back down and have a like a Devonte Adams role. Not someone who's gonna
Mm,
blow up the box score or anything,
mm,
but he'll have some memorable moments, right? He's known for having some pretty flashy catches. He's a good player, but he's honestly been he's been your number one guy. As you said, CD hasn't looked great. He had a couple pretty rough drops. He's
yep.
had some bad
Yep.
fumbles too. Like
Hmm. Hmm.
just hasn't looked pretty, as you mentioned. But going back to what you said about stopping Saquon, this defense gets a lot of flack for its past performances, right? Letting Russ and the Giants just go to work on him. But
Yep.
10 carries for Saquon and 22 yards, that's pretty damn good. That's pretty damn good
Yeah.
for an offense
Yeah.
that really couldn't throw the ball at all. I know Hurts had some success in the air, but their run game's really kind of been their offense.
Hmm.
And props to you guys for taking that.
Yeah, I mean Quentin Williams, what a player! I think
Yeah.
that was a great trade for us. I expect him to be a Cowboy for a long time, and I think that's kind of the identity we're shifting to. Is for the entire Dak tenure, really, we have not had a good D tackles. Right? We had Osa, we had one, we still have him obviously, but you go to the playoff game, San Francisco 49ers running the ball all over us. C.J. Anderson running for 200 yards against us in the playoffs. Aaron Jones, however many touchdowns he scored against us. Finally, we have addressed that issue. And I think it took a while to get there, and we were tired of getting beaten up that way. And so I've been a fan of the moves so far. I wish the moves would have come earlier in the season. So maybe we're sitting at 6-4-1 or 7-3-1 if we make those moves earlier. But where we are right now, we're in striking distance, and we got opportunities against Kansas City and Detroit coming up.
Yeah. Absolutely. I know we have a I want to go to Green Bay here, closer to your home,
Ugh.
which you did not choose as your team. Which is fine, but Minnesota at Green Bay. Jordan Love's been such an interesting player, and then
Yeah.
JJ McCarthy looks like a bust, to be honest with you.
Hmm.
God, he looks. I mean, two guys who at first glance when they got their opportunity looked pretty promising, right? JJ with the big comeback on I think it was week 1 against the
Yeah,
Bears.
Monday
Is
Night
that
Football.
right?
Yeah.
That was a huge moment for him. And then he got hurt, and there was all this drama about is he only out for a couple weeks, but they just want to have
Yeah.
JJ sit
Soft
behind
benching.
for
Yeah.
some soft benching and then come back when he's ready. Then he comes back and he looks terrible. And then Jordan Love, man, he was looking great. He looked like he was going to beat the Niners in that playoff game a couple years ago. But then obviously had the game-losing pick. And up until that point, he was great. I thought he was going to have like another breakout year. He was going to be awesome. The next year, I believe he got hurt early on in the year, and they kind of forced him back, and it was iffy. This year, it's
Yeah.
just I don't like. He doesn't look great. He's kind of a hard guy to really break down and get a grasp of who he is, because he'll have a performance like this where they win 23-6, but he only had 139 passing yards. Like, he wasn't anything great. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. I think he's a limited quarterback. I think he's got plenty of arm talent. I don't think he's the best decision maker. I think that he struggles in certain areas of the field. It doesn't help that he doesn't have the greatest receivers to get open across the middle of the field, right? He doesn't have these guys that are really willing to step in and take these contested catches. So maybe that's kind of his unwillingness to throw them at times. But I know a lot of people, have been calling for LaFleur's head, saying that he's not trusting them enough. He's not giving them the ball enough. But you're what 7-3-1 now off of a strong run game. Emmanuel Wilson just had a great performance. Yeah, to me, I think that situation has kind of become LaFleur is trying to use him as his like kind of remote control rather than kind of letting Love free and kind of letting that freelancer side out of Love not come out. He's containing that right now.
Yeah, yeah. Two guys who kind of had opposite career paths too. JJ picked in the first round. Both of them actually picked in the first round, but JJ probably would have immediately been thrown on the scene. He got hurt in
Potentially, yeah.
and no, I said spring training, but in that preseason, and it was out for the
Yeah.
whole year. So he kind of got that redshirt freshman year,
Mhm.
and Jordan Love sat behind Rodgers for what 3 years,
3 years, yeah.
3 years, and then he came
Maybe.
in, showed immediately, like he was successful early on. The whole development of quarterbacks is so weird right now, right? If you're a top pick, you get thrown in. If you're not, you sit for a bit. You got any thoughts on that?
I mean, as far as the JJ McCarthy situation goes, he's been a bust, and he's just not a quality player. I don't think he'll ever figure it out. If you're not figuring it out with Kevin O'Connell, I don't think you ever will. Now, as far as quarterback development goes, this is the most important position in sports. Like let's address that situation. You have to get this right if you want to be a good team. And for me, like let's take Bryce Young for example. How many other teams are giving Bryce Young? If he wasn't a number one overall pick, does he get the second year? Does he get this third year? But I think it's worth it. I mean, unless you are a contending team, like the Indianapolis Colts believe they were in the offseason, right? And they said we have this amazing roster. Our quarterback cannot win with this team, right? And so you take a chance on a guy who's Daniel Jones had won a playoff game before. Obviously not looked great, but a guy who had experience winning a playoff game before. You bring him in, you ask him to play average, make simple decisions, and all of a sudden, you're 8-3. Right? You're atop your division. And so at no point did the Carolina Panthers think, okay, hey, listen, we have a playoff roster here. This is a team that is a quarterback away from winning this division. So they stayed patient with Bryce Young because of that. So I think it depends on your situation. If you're looking to win now, yeah, you got to move on, and you can't loll around with poor play. But if you're building a project, you got to be patient.
Yeah, I think if you want to start your rookie quarterback off the gun, like fine. I think that's fine. You got to I think before you analyze is he ready, you have to look at is he set up for success.
Hmm.
Bryce Young last year clearly not. Although I think
Hmm.
Canales is a good coach, but the talent around him horrible. Andrew Luck going back to him, like you can't protect him, so why put him in jeopardy? The Bengals obviously value their quarterback contract and then two good wide receivers over protecting that offense for some reason.
Hmm.
And yeah, I think you just got to stop throwing them into the fire. Like a great example is Cam Ward. I don't know if he's good or not. Like
Yeah.
he has a good like he played pretty well like this week, right? Against a good Seattle defense. They put up 24 points through for 250 yards.
Hmm.
But like he has an absolute stinker sometimes and he makes some dumb decisions, but is that because his so-called greatest receiving core in the league that he said preseason, which contains Alec Iomanner, it was Tyler Lockett, who's not even playing on the
Yeah.
Raiders, who are a disaster.
DK.
And yeah, like
Yeah.
it's and then your running back is Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears, and it doesn't seem like anyone knows who the starting running back is. And you fired your coach already, so he's gonna have to go through a whole new playbook next year. How long does it take him to get to know that? I don't know. Some quarterbacks pick up on it, some quarterbacks don't. Like you just wasted probably a season and maybe a season and a half on this guy's development because you were just like, we need a quarterback. Let's go get a quarterback. And then you gave him nothing. Like you gave him Calvin Ridley and a third round wide receiver in Alec Iomanner. Like, that was
Hmm.
your guy. So I get just throwing him to the fire and giving him nothing to play. Same thing with the Panthers last year and Bryce Young. Like who were his targets? Adam
Yeah.
Thielen? Come
Yeah.
on.
We
Come
got better than
on.
that. Yeah. Yeah.
Like this year they went and got Tet, obviously a huge help.
Hmm.
The defense has been better, but it's like you can't just throw these guys to the wolves, man. So I think that's a big thing. Like for a great example, I'm gonna go to my guy in San Francisco, Brock Purdy, right? If you threw Purdy in on any of these crappy teams, he would sink
He would be a
like a
UFL
rock,
player.
man. He'd be
He would have been a
terrible.
UFL player.
Put him around a good team. Like now you can see, okay, let's see how this guy is. Oh, he can run an
Hmm.
offense. He can make those tight throws, because he's got talents. He's got guys that can get open. He's got a coach that can help him get open, get him hot throughout the game. And then we get to see, okay, let's see how special he is. He's getting out in the pocket. He's making throws on the run. He's scrambling. So then we can kind of see like how good he is. And I think we're seeing a little bit of Caleb in that too. Like he's obviously they tried to do that around him last year, right? They went and got Keenan Allen. They were hoping for a better season from like DJ Moore,
Yeah.
Swift, and then this year they went and got a coordinator that can really try and elevate his game. So I just think you got to set your quarterback back up. Like if you want to make him wait 3 years versus throw him in right away, fine. But give
Hmm.
the kid some success. Give him a
Yeah.
chance.
Yeah. I agree.
Give him a chance.
I agree.
All right. Any other games you want to discuss? Or
Well, Joe Burrow is anticipated to play. That just came in for me on Twitter. So that, it really only means anything for fantasy because this team is done, and I don't really see the point in him playing.
hey, if you just said it, if this team's done, what are we doing? Just gonna try and hurt his other ankle? So
Right? No, I agree.
I don't get it.
I
I don't
believe it
get
was
it,
his
man.
toe. I believe it hurt his other toe.
Okay. Okay. Hurt
Yeah.
his other toe. Which I know something about toes, man. Brock missed like the whole season on a goddamn toe. So clearly
Clip
that's a
that.
pretty
Clip that.
meaningful injury.
Clip that. I know
Clearly,
something about toes.
I know something about toes, man. Like
Yeah.
clearly that's a big thing. All right, man. Who knows with that? Zach Taylor needs to get out of there as well too.
Mm-hmm.
That's another name that needs to leave. Hopefully that's an end of the season thing. But all right, man. Great time. Great to have you on.
Of course. Pleasure being on, man.
A PFF professional, former Pro Football Focus guy, soccer analyst, and ball knower, man.
That's
ball
right.
knower.
That's right. And now, when the Buffalo Bills win the Super Bowl, we can go back to my
That's
six,
right. Let's see how
questions
these
in
takes
60
it.
seconds.
See if you can
Yeah.
add to your record here, which
Yeah.
is probably in the lead of Rewind hosts, I'd assume, but just how successfully were. Caseman's off to a tough start, man, with some of his takes, as you mentioned. But yeah, he can get some flack. It's all right. He doesn't have social media. He won't see any of this. All right, Michael. Thanks for having you. It was good to have you on, man. Take care, man.
Spencer, love being here, man.
That's going to do it for episode 25 of The Rewind. Hope you guys enjoyed my conversation with Michael. He's another guy that's going to be showing his face on here a few times, so hopefully you enjoy. There'll be more of that to come. Let me know what other topics you want me to cover. Be sure to comment on our YouTube at 313 or on Instagram. That's probably the best place. If you have any thoughts, any questions you want me to cover, we could do a little mailbag segment. It'd be kind of fun. But you can do that by following the pod at the rewind_pod. That's the best way to interact and get all the fun clips and updates of new episodes. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. I will see you on Friday morning with a guest that we've had a couple times already. I'm excited to talk with him about topics that we haven't talked about yet since the revive. So I'll see you all then. Thank you for watching.